Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is John Pawar with Access Arts Live. I think we are actually on, and we are only about 38 minutes late. Very sorry to tell you that our restreaming platform, Restream, had some kind of massive technical problem, which kept anybody from doing the live streaming off of their platform. And that is why you're finding me here at about 40 minutes after you were supposed to find me. So here I am. I want to give you a little update on the on the Chopin International Piano Competition finalists for today. The last three of the finalists: Kevin Chen, David Khrikuli, and Shiori Kuwahara, each of whom will be playing, as all the other finalists did, Chopin's Polonaise in A-flat major. And it is such a revelation to hear. So far, we've heard how many? Eight different versions of that Polonaise. Boy, do you learn something. And then they will either play his Piano Concerto in E minor or in F minor. And I'm going to talk to you about each of the three of these and explain to you. Hold on a second. I have to find my my right notes now because I didn't know we were on yet. Explain to you what they'll be playing and a little bit about their history. Before I get to that, let me just say a few words about what we've seen so far, at least what I've seen so far. I am no musicological expert. I am no piano expert, but I have been following the first 2 days of the finals, and I have followed on and off since the beginning of this enormous competition, which started out with 80 pianists the first round, 40 in the second round, 20 in the semifinals, and now down to the final 11. They took one more than half. There was just one that they couldn't exclude. We don't know which one that would have been. My take. My biggest expectations were that Eric Liu was going to stand out from everybody else because of his prior accomplishments and awards he's won. And I did not find that was the case. I think he played very well, but I was looking for someone to stand out from the crowd the way Nashevsky did at the Rachmaninoff competition back in the spring. And he was just on another plane from everyone else. And I haven't seen that through all of this. But what I have seen, but then again, he played very well, so it's hard to criticize him. But there were two others who made an impression on me. And the one that impressed me first was Vincent Ong, because I just enjoyed his playing. It was just a pleasure. And you could see that he was enjoying playing. People in the chat box were all talking about his confidence and what have you. But and yes, he was smiling as he played and all of that. But there was a graciousness about his style, and there was a comfort that he had with the music, and it was more of a performance than it was a competition. I enjoyed it. So out of the first 2 days, he was the one that I enjoyed the most. But the one that I thought played the best so far I've seen, as far as I can tell, was William Yang. And the reason why I think William Yang was so excellent was not because of the feeling, although there was feeling. He didn't show too much of it in terms of physical expression with his face and all of that, but the feeling was definitely there in the music. And it was toward the end. It was only toward the end he got a nod from the conductor letting him know how well he had been doing, because I don't think he knew. He looked very dissatisfied after he did the Polonaise. Didn't look confident at all, but he was very focused, very disciplined. And then when he finally relaxed toward the end, the feeling that came out was so tender that I had tears in my eyes. But what impressed me about William Yang was that it was clear that he had a conception, a grasp of each piece as a whole. He wasn't playing phrase by phrase. If you think of it as writing, he wasn't playing sentence by sentence. He played the paragraph. And so each sentence was shaped with respect to what came before and what after, and moving forward into an overall grasp of how this piece functioned as a whole. And I thought he did that more clearly than anybody else that I saw playing in the finals. I can't speak for everybody else and all the other stages. And the winner is chosen based on percentages, based on every round. So I don't think you could even just say, based on who played best in the finals, that person is going to be come in first. That's not a sure thing. But that's what I saw. And in the concerto portion, what I saw was his intentions were so clear. His grasp of where this was going was so clear that the orchestra, I could see the musicians in the orchestra when they came in, they knew exactly what was, he led them in. The way he was, and not that he was playing to the orchestra, he was playing very softly. He was, I don't care if this is a concerto. I don't care if there's an orchestra there. I'm playing this way. And he played it in a sort of, I would call it a Mozartian way. There was a great lightness about it and a sweetness about it, which to me is Mozart at his best, when he's not being too mathematical and contrapuntal and all of that. But I could just see that I could tell by the looks on the faces of the orchestra, they knew right what they were going to do when they came in. And they knew it because he had shown them. It was very clear. I'm not a musical expert, and I could see what he was doing with the music. So the experts in the orchestra, it was so easy for them to play with him. And to play along and execute what he was doing, which is one reason why I think that towards the end, there was one moment that the conductor looked towards him to give him a nod to say, like, hey, you're doing great. And then he relaxed and he played more. So let me tell you a little bit about, that's much more than I expected to tell you about in those terms. But, we're at the end, so I prepare myself a few words. First up today in the evening is Kevin Chen. And a lot of people are very enthusiastic about Kevin Chen in the chat box. I can't say whether the judges are feeling that way. He was with the Gang of Four last Thursday, where you had Eric Liu, William Yang, and Pyotr Alexeyevich together with Chen, all in the same semifinal. And I looked at that and I said, wow, this looks to me like a final grouping. Anyway, he's relatively young, only 21 years old, born in 2005, Canadian. He'll be on at 6 o'clock, and he chose to play a Steinway piano. They all chose to play Steinways tonight. So it's a victory for Steinway, you could say. And he is currently studying at the Hochschule in Hanover after getting private instruction from a lot of other people. He won the Rubinstein competition in Tel Aviv in 2023. He won the Concours de Genève in 2022. He's already performed with symphony orchestras in Edmonton, Taipei, Calgary, and Warsaw. So he's not playing a concerto with an orchestra for the first time in his life. And he's performed at places like Carnegie Hall and the Chopin in His Europe Festival, which is the Chopin People. That was just in the summertime. That was just in August, and the Oxford Piano Festival and La Roque Enterron in France. So he's first up, and a lot of people are very enthusiastic about him. He'll be playing the Concerto in E minor, Opus 11. And we will give you also not only the link to his bio on the Chopin competition calendar, but also to his own website, because where they have that, we give you that. Well, he's also played with the Orchestre de la Suisse Romande and the Hungarian National Orchestra. So for a 21-year-old, he's got a fair amount under his belt, I would say. Serious contender. Well, everybody in the finals is, but some are more serious than others. Like I say, that gang of four from last Thursday, I think they were all serious contenders. Next up will be David Khrikuli, the Georgian. He's 24 years old. He's on at 7 o'clock, the second in the evening. He plays the Steinway piano too. He'll be doing the concerto in F minor. Which is that's what William Yang did. That's what Eric Liu did. I like that choice. And Ben Loud, who he's been doing these interviews together officially with the Chopin competition. A lot of top people prefer the F minor to the E minor. He is currently enrolled in Madrid at the Queen Sofia School of Music. In 2024, he won the Cantu International Piano Orchestra competition in Italy. He also won first prize and the audience prize at the Vigo International Piano Competition in Spain, studying in Madrid. And we're told that he's won other competitions in Georgia, Russia, the Netherlands, Denmark, and China, but I don't know which ones, and I don't have the time to find them all. He hasn't played with all that many orchestras, but he's played with the Georgian Phil, the Moscow Phil, and the Israeli Phil. For those of you who are fans of David Khrikuli. And then last, but not at all least, is Shiori Kuwahara, Japanese. She may be the oldest participant, born in 1995. I think Eric Liu was born in 97. I thought he was the oldest. She'll be playing a Steinway. She's on it at 8:20 European time. She studied at the University of the Arts in Tokyo, the Geidai, and at the Berlin Hochschule. She got her master's. She won the Steinway Prize in Berlin in 2022. And this year, she was a laureate at the Queen Elizabeth competition in Brussels, where she played the Brahms Concerto No. 2. But being the laureate means that she was not one of the top 6. So the question is, can she move up into the top 6 now? Being older, she's performed in a lot of different places. She's performed at the Dvorak Hall in Prague. She's performed in Austria, Germany, Israel, Serbia, Italy, Japan, Korea, and the US. She's been runner-up in a whole series of competitions at the Maria Canals in Barcelona in 2016, at the Gian Battista Viatti in Vercelli, Italy in 2017, at the Busoni in Bolzano in 2019, and at the Rubinstein in Tel Aviv in 2021. But she hasn't won. The one thing she's won was the Steinway Prize in Berlin in 2022. So, folks, that is what is up this evening between these three. For those of you who are joining us now, as I said earlier, and I invite you and welcome your comments on that subject, who you think is most likely to prevail. Today's the last installment. Afterwards, there will be the announcement of the winners, and it's very possible that Ben Loud on his YouTube channel will be doing what he did at the end of each of the other rounds, which is a live stream with Jed Disler. Both of those guys are really smart. They know a whole lot more than I do, and they usually come on after the official announcements are made, and they do a very relaxed, very casual live stream with a very lively chat box where they take your questions and answers. I asked them if they were going to be doing it tonight, but I don't have an answer back from them yet. But I would highly recommend you seek them out on the Ben Loud, ALAUDE YouTube channel at the time when the announcements should be made. Now, tonight's competition stops at 9:20 rather than 10:20 as the earlier one, as Saturday and Sunday did. So you may have an announcement of the winners earlier than 11 o'clock in the evening. It could come as early as 10 o'clock in the evening, depending on how much time they think they need. So again, tonight, that's Kevin Chen, David Khrikuli, and Shiori Kuwahara. I personally would be surprised if any of them come out and do better than either Vincent Ong did, or my favorite so far, William Yang. But anything is possible in this kind of competition. And once again, the winner of this competition is not chosen just on the basis of what they do in the final rounds. That counts for 40%, meaning it counts for the minority of the decision. And I don't know if there's any way that anybody could keep track of this entire competition if they weren't the judges, because starting from 80 different contestants and going listening to all of that in the first round, and then 40 in the second round, and keeping track of it. I don't know how you would do that if you weren't one of the judges. But maybe some of you have. And once again, I invite your comments on whether you think I'm talking through my hat when I say that up till now, the three tops that I've seen were Eric Liu, Vincent Ong, who was the most fun, and William Yang, who struck me as having the superior conception of grasping the whole piece, both when he played the Polonaise on his own, and it just he did play the phrases. He played the piece, and the phrases were all shaped to serve his grasp of that piece. And I really got a message from that. And the same thing happened with the concerto, and that allowed the musicians. It wasn't so much his having to adapt to the musicians. He was so clear in what he was doing that the musicians adapted to him. And that, I think, is what an orchestra will do with a really fine soloist. They'll follow you. I worked with a great accompanist as a lyric tenor, David, and what I realized about him as an accompanist and why he was great was this: if you didn't know what you were doing, he would show you and lead the way. If you did know what you were doing, he would follow you and augment it. And with William Yang, I think that's what happened. He knew what he was doing, so the orchestra could follow him and augment the grasp of it, the sense of the piece that he was creating as he went along. So that's my take on it. I hope you enjoy it. Access Arts Live will probably be in the chat box this evening following it. And so if you see us in the chat box, say hello to @Access Arts Live. So I know that you are with me now. I'll say ciao for now. I'm going to be back at some time this evening doing our weekly roundup of orchestral and opera big stage productions for this week. But I don't know how I'm going to squeeze that in between also wanting to follow these finals. But that'll be announced at some point in time. But if you're watching this live stream, you're probably going to be glued to the Chopin International Piano Competition, as I will be for most of it, except for the time I take out to do my job. Ciao for now. Enjoy this evening.